Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the match preview. West Ham United versus Everton this Sunday. 4:30 kickoff at the London Stadium. West Ham, a tough game. They are absolutely flying at the moment. Everton are the opposite of flying. Everton are lower than a snake's belly at the minute. Cam, this is a must win for Everton if they're to have any hopes of trying to qualify for Europe.
Yeah.
But obviously it's also a hugely difficult game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, they're in absolutely great form, aren't they? David Moyes has got them playing. He's got them effective ultimately, and usually West Ham this season they've done that thing what typical David Moyes sides do, and that's beat everyone below them and don't really do very well against the teams above them or in and around them, but below them they're getting results. And you know, the games are a little bit heart attacky, you know, scoring 3 and then conceding 2. Or watched them against Burnley the other day, where Burnley got back into the game and they were holding on the last 10 minutes, but they're winning games of football ultimately. And like you said, Everton are really low at the moment, and you know, how many times do we sit here every week and say it's a must-win game? We've got to win today. If we're going to finish in Europe, we've got to win. And this one, I'm a bit more confident. The ironic thing is it's away from home, so I'm a lot more confident. If this was at Goodison Park, I'd have no ounce of confidence whatsoever. We're away, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe our away record this season has been very, very good. But like you said, it's going to be extremely difficult. They're a very resilient team, and like I said, they're very organised. And there's one word I wouldn't describe Everton as at the moment. It's organised. We look all over the place a bit, so be an interesting one.
Definitely. I mean, obviously they had a good win. Bounced back. They were beaten by Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, but bounced back to win at Burnley. They've got 4 decent, well, if you take the Everton game out of it, they've got 3 decent games to come as well. So you would look and say that they're probably going to finish in Europe, which is they deserve to. They've been on a great run. Certainly since New Year's Day when they come to Goodison and nicked that game with a late goal from Souček, and he's been brilliant for them, hasn't he? But you're right with Moyes, it's what he does. He gets you organised. We had 11 years of it. You know, he gets you organised. They play good football because Everton did under Moyes. His record against the top teams isn't great, but it doesn't matter. He's proved every year. He hasn't spent a lot of money at West Ham at all, if he's had any, really. And he's turning, well, he got them into Europe this season, and that's what he's good at, isn't he? He's good at getting organised, getting the points you should get.
That's it.
And then seeing if you can nick games against other teams. And it's something that I think Carlo Ancelotti tried to do with us, really. I think we kind of got to Christmas and it was like, or into December, and it was like, right, we've been expansive. We'd had injuries, so we couldn't play the way we'd been playing. Yeah. And he almost went, dare I say, a David Moyes style of being strong and staying in games. And it got us into a great position where after we beat West Brom away, Europe looked a formality for Everton. We were 4th that day. And we're a couple of points behind 3rd place. We were right in it. And we've won 1 game since then, and that's really unravelled our season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of felt a bit, hasn't it, really? I mean, it's typical Everton with the inconsistency. It's a roller coaster, and like you said, we got into December, and obviously Luca Dean picked up the injury, and we were all sort of thinking, well, what happens now? We haven't really got a suitable replacement. Nazim Kunku was still very, very raw, and we found that back line of the 4 centre-halves, Godfrey, Holgate, Keane and Mina, and it worked, and beat Chelsea, beat Arsenal, went on a decent little run, and yeah, and like you said, players started to come back, and then Alan went out injured, and then obviously we've had Decore injured. So I do sort of, you know, you've got to take injuries into consideration because we have had a lot this season. It has messed with the squad and the availability of players. But like I said, at the moment, we just look the complete opposite to West Ham. They're very stable, they're very organised, they know what they're doing. Every player knows their role, every player knows what he needs to do, and we don't. You said then about David Moyes' teams, you know, not doing very well against the top 6. I think David Moyes looks at the league and goes, well, there's 5 or 6 teams there, and then there's 13 other teams. So if you can beat the majority of the 13 other teams, the results against the top teams, you know, in the grand scheme of things, don't really matter. Obviously, when he was at Everton, there was a bit more expectation because of where Everton have been and stuff, obviously the 80s and stuff. But at West Ham, I think they're happy just beating everybody else and then understanding that if we come up against City or Chelsea, etc., it's going to be a difficult game. I think also what David Moyes has done, to be honest, in the summer is he's brought in players that have got a point to prove. Bit of a chip on the shoulder. I mean, Souček, didn't really know much about him. previous to this season. He's come in and been absolutely exceptional. You've had Soufal, who's come in and done a decent job. Jesse Lingard in January, who I remember saying, I don't want Jesse Lingard at Everton. He wouldn't do a job. He's not good enough, and he's come in. And it's almost like David Moyes has gone, you've got a point to prove here, mate. You know, show why you can be a top Premier League player. And he's been brilliant for West Ham. So it's what David Moyes does, doesn't he? He buys these players that people don't really know and, you know, haven't got big expectations for, and they come in with that fire in their belly and that little bit of a point to prove, maybe a bit of a chip on the shoulder, and then they turn up and they perform well, and it's what West Ham have done this season. And
yeah, I think West Ham, what they've done really well of late is they were obviously moving from Upton Park, which was a tough place.
Yeah.
And ironically, Everton had a brilliant record there, but it was a tough place to play football. You know, and the fans loved it. They were right on top of the team, and they had the final season there with Bilic and Payet, and they were really good. And then he went to the City of London Stadium, and I think the owners, not the fans, but I think the owners started thinking they were all of a sudden going to be a top 4 team, and we've got these ideas of grandeur. Didn't really follow it up with signings because they hadn't really convinced anyone. And he lost the way a little bit, and obviously they had Pellegrini, and he didn't really do anything. You know, after Bilic initially lost his job, and then Moyes has had 2 goes at it there, hasn't he? But the second time, they got him in. I think they just let him get on with it.
Yeah.
And I think what he's done is brought a down-to-earth side to West Ham, which is more in tune with what their fans are. Yeah. You know, more realistic of like, we fight and we battle and we scrap for things and we'll do all right. And that's what he's done. And they've played some great footy this season. Yeah. They're really good to watch. They're scoring goals. Fair play to them. You know, and like you say, it's opposite of everything that we're doing. Yeah. We need to find our identity again, I think, a little bit. But saying that, Everton have been very good away from home. We've won 10 away games with the 4th best away record in the Premier League. It's at home that our struggles have been. But ironically, this is a game that I feel more confident than if it was at Goodison, put it that way. Yeah. Because I think away and against a good side like West Ham, I think the game plan's very clear. Yeah. I think the players know what they're up against, the good side, so they've got to work hard and they've got to make sure they're in shape and they've got to help each other out. I think at Goodison, it's almost like they're too comfortable. It's almost like we'll beat these no matter what. Like an arrogance that shouldn't be there as far as I'm concerned, because what have any of these done? Yeah. Really, no. As a team, I mean, I know individually James has been fantastic and things like that, but we didn't have him last game. But I think you've got to earn the right to beat football teams, and I think that's exactly what West Ham are doing. Everton aren't doing that. Yeah. But I think away from home, we are more focused than when we're playing at Goodison.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. I think we just seemed a bit more switched on away from home. We seemed more organised. We seemed more, you know, we don't make as many mistakes. Defensively at home this season, we've been dreadful. It's been mistake after mistake, whereas away from home, we seem to be a lot more solid, a lot more compact. You know, everybody seems to know their role a little bit, which is frustrating because you look at it and you think, why can't we just emulate that at home? But I don't know whether it is an attitude thing and whether they just think, oh, we're at home, so we'll beat these comfortably. But like you said, away, even the Arsenal game, which wasn't a great game and we didn't have an awful lot of quality, and okay, granted, Arsenal didn't have a lot either, but we still looked fairly safe and comfortable defensively. I mean, it was a back 4 of Holgate and Godfrey, who got absolutely ran ragged by Ollie Watkins the week after, but against Arsenal, although they didn't have much, they looked comfortable. So we are, you know, away from home, we've been very good this season, and I do sort of think in the back of my mind, are the players now thinking, oh, we're away from home, so we've been all right this season, so we'll be all right today. And at home, it's a bit more like, oh, we've got a shocking away record, a bit of, you know, that mentality sort of issue. Listen, it's going to be an extremely difficult game. West Ham now 4 or 5 games away from playing in Europe next season, and ultimately, like you said, David Moyes didn't come into West Ham, and West Ham probably haven't thought David Moyes will come in and we'll be playing in Europe within a season. They've probably just thought, let him do what he does and we'll go from there. We won't say we want to sign this player and that player and we want to be in the Champions League in 2 years. Like you said, they've given full reign and they've let him do what he does, and they've ended up ironically, well, not ironically, because they've played very well, but you know, their owners are probably sitting there thinking, great, we've let him do what he wants to do, and now he's going to take us to Europe. So, you know, maybe they'll, I don't know, they'll feel a little bit of pressure with there only being a few games left, and they've obviously got to finish the season strong. Like you said, they've got some very, very winnable fixtures coming up. But Everton have to turn up and Everton have to perform ultimately. I think we've got to be better than we were against Arsenal, even though defensively we were solid against Arsenal. I think we need to show more going forward because West Ham are a better team than Arsenal.
On the Arsenal game, and just because you touched on Ollie Watkins there, Antonio, back for West Ham the other night, scored 2 goals. Yeah. He's a handful when he's on form. He's powerful, he's quick and strong. Everton have to play Yerry Mina, don't they, in this game to cope with him? Because
100%.
Playing Holgate and Godfrey won't wash, I don't think.
100%. Yerry Mina's got to be straight back in there. He should have been in there against Villa. He should have been in there from the start, and he definitely should have been in there after 25 minutes when you could see it wasn't working. But like you said, they've got that big physical presence up front who will bully defenders. If you're not up to it, Antonio will run you around all game and he won't have no issue doing it. He's big, he's physical, and he's also quick, and he's got the stamina to carry on going, and he can score goals. He gets in the right area. So Yerry Mina's 100% got to be on that pitch. Yerry Mina's that centre half who's a little bit, he's a bit more rough, isn't he? He doesn't mind making the foul. He'll get physical. He'll get in your face.
He wants a battle.
That's it. He wants the battle, and I question whether any of the other three, maybe exception of Godfrey because he's new to the scene, but I question whether any of the other two really want that battle.
Well, they don't want the battle.
With Antonio, you've got to want the battle.
West Ham line-up, let's have a look at the line-up that they won at Burnley with. So they have Fabianski in goal, Kufal, Dawson, Diop and Cresswell as a back four, and then in midfield they had Souček and Lanzini as a centre midfielder, which Lanzini's he's a bit like Coutinho light, and he runs, travels with the ball. And then they had Benrahma, Lingard, Fornells, and then obviously Antonio up front. And that they won, and David Moyes tends to keep the same team. And they've done really well because obviously Declan Rice has been in excellent form for them this season, and they've been missing him for the last few weeks, and the results have continued. So fair play to him. I guess the head-to-head for this one is, for us, hopefully, well, the manager thinks he'll be fit. So James Rodriguez and Jesse Lingard. Let's have a look at their numbers there. They're the two we picked out, obviously. James, 22 appearances, 6 goals, 4 assists in the Premier League. Jesse Lingard's had 12 appearances for West Ham, 9 goals, 3 assists. 2 big chances created from Jesse Lingard, 10 from James Rodriguez. Lingard with an 81% passing accuracy, James with 83%. So, I mean, obviously you can look at the two slightly different plays, of course. They are James quite clearly creates a lot of chances, where Lingard is someone who breaks into the box and has been... I'm with you. He was linked heavily with Everton from October, and it's one of them where you're looking and going, oh, no, because he'll come in and it won't work. And ironically, he's exactly what Everton have needed. But David Moyes doing that thing that he did at Everton with people like Arteta and people, want to prove yourself, do you? Come here then, and we'll done it with Darren Gibson and Pienaar, who'd be gone off to Dortmund and it didn't work. He got him in, and we've seen that regularly at Everton. And West Ham have seen that with Lingard. This, coming in, he's been brilliant. But they're probably the two obviously Antonio's a handful. And they do have a threat, which I think Souček's been brilliant, and obviously scored the winner, and he's West Ham's Fellaini, isn't he?
Oh, that's it.
But I think those two, would you agree, those two are the standouts on both teams?
Yeah,
the ones to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from an Everton point of view, obviously James is that player that, when we all seen he picked up an injury and before the Villa game, it was heads in hands, and we were thinking, right, we've got no chance here. He's the creator in this team, and James, I'm sure, would have had a lot more assists and a lot more goal involvements this season if Dominic Calvert-Lewin had been a little bit more clinical in front of goal at times, or Richarlison. He's played a lot of really good balls through and a lot of balls over the top, and they haven't been finished. Lingard, like you said, ironically, is exactly what Everton need at the moment. It's a typical David Moyes signing. Same with Souček. You can see that the West Ham team of now is very similar to Everton's David Moyes' Everton side. And Lingard has sort of obviously looked and gone, I'm not going to play at Man United much between now and the end of the season. I'm not going to get many chances. And David Moyes, as you said, has gone, come on then, come and prove yourself. And he's repaid that. His goals, like you said, he runs with the ball, he breaks the line, he can shoot, he can score. Technical ability, he's got it there. I think James is probably more likely to create for other people, but then it's down to Dom, it's down to Richarlison, it's down to Sigurdsson, dare I say, Iwobi, whoever else plays up front to finish those chances that James is creating. Because James could put in 45 fantastic balls in the first half. If none of them are finished, then obviously counts for nothing in the result. So I think Jesse Lingard is more likely to take the game himself by the scruff of the neck, whereas James is more likely to create for his teammates. But no, Jesse Lingard has surprised me and surprised a lot of people. And, you know, again, like you just said, ironically, he's a player that Everton could absolutely do it now, someone who's picked the ball up and not afraid to run with it. But I think David Moyes has probably instilled that into him. He's probably instilled, you're a good technical player, the confidence, pick your head up, run with the ball. Doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, great. And 9 times this season, it's worked for Jesse Lingard, and it's worked really, really well. And be interesting to see if they can manage to keep him or want to keep him in the summer. But for us with James, you know, the manager said that he's going to be fit. His press conference is tomorrow, so hopefully he is fit. Again, it's getting to the point where he's picking up injuries in the training before the game after the team news. I'll be confident he's fit when the first whistle blows and he's got the kit on and he's on the pitch. Until then, I'm not really confident, but hopefully he is. And if he's on that pitch, we know how dangerous he can be. And at this point, I think we need him because we're not playing very well, are we? No,
definitely. Totally agreed. Like some of the stats, this is normally the depression bit, but let's have a look. West Ham are looking to complete their first league double over Everton since the 72-73 season, following their 1-0 win at Goodison in January. Everton have won more Premier League games overall and more Premier League away games against West Ham than they have against any other side in this competition. This isn't normally what it's like. Everton have lost just one of the last 12 league away games against West Ham in the Premier League. But it was the 3-1 when David Moyes was the West Ham manager. The only time we've lost at West Ham in the last 12. Everton have won 4 of the 5 Premier League games in London this season, which is very unlike Everton. The only one they've lost was Chelsea, of course, but that's as many as we won in our previous 30 in London. West Ham have won 17 games out of 34, 50% win rate. Excellent. They last won more in a top flight season in a single campaign in 85-86 season when they finished third, behind us and some other team. Everton have won 1 of the last 7 Premier League games, drawing 3 and losing 3. However, 10 of their 15 league victories this season have come away, the highest number of Premier League away wins since Everton won the league in 84-85. Carlo Ancelotti has faced David Moyes more often without ever winning than any other manager. That's mad, isn't it?
Great.
That's mad. Antonio scored 9 Premier League goals this season and could become the 5th West Ham player to reach double figures in consecutive campaigns. Obviously, in double figures last season, he had a purple patch at the end, didn't he? No players, no, not having that. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored 7 header goals in the Premier League this season. The last player to score more in a single campaign was Roque Santa Cruz, while the only Everton player to score more in a season was Duncan Ferguson in 97-98. So Dom obviously getting his 20th goal of the season at the weekend, albeit to no avail as we were beaten. But it's going to be a tough game. I'm only slightly more confident because it's away from home, but West Ham are a very good side. And for me, if Everton don't win on Sunday, that's Europe done anyway, even though we'll still have a game in hand. But if Everton were to win on Sunday and then have a game in hand on West Ham, then potentially they could go level. But if West Ham win, they're Champions League. They're only 1 win off Chelsea for the Champions League places, so they're still in the hunt. So it's a big game for both teams, and we're normally not very good at big games, so we'll see how good we are on Sunday, and we'll see how good West Ham are.
Well, it's massive, innit? And like you said, you know, I'm going to try and not get my hopes up if we win, because I'm going to be honest, I'm more afraid of the Sheffield United game in 2 weeks at home to a relegated side than I am of this one. But Everton have got to turn up. I think the goal for Dom against Aston Villa will give him a little bit more confidence. He'd gone through a little bit of a purple patch, and he got to the back post, and it was a typical Dominic Calvert-Lewin goal, and hopefully he'll be coming into this game with a bit more confidence. Hopefully Richarlison will be fired, and like we said, hopefully James will be there to create. And, you know, this Everton team have got to want to finish in a European position. They've got to want to, pick themselves up and go again, and we'll see that on Sunday afternoon. And like you said, if we win, we are in a relatively good enough position, but it means nothing if we go and lose to Sheffield United the week after. So it's about getting that consistency, and like you mentioned, more wins again in London than we've had in, however many of the last years, beating the likes of Liverpool, Tottenham, and it's all brilliant to say, but when you look at the games we've lost at home, you sort of think, well, it balances itself out, and that's why we are where we are. So it's a massive game. It'll be a very, very difficult game. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's one of them.
There you go. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Very, very tough game playing against the really good West Ham side away at West Ham. Let us know your score predictions. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, And if you want more videos, including daily live videos, why not become a patron? Don't forget that Toffee Picks game is live for the West Ham game now. Go and play along. It's free to play. You can win a share of £500 we give away for every Everton game. ToffeePicks.com. T's and C's do apply. Please play responsibly. You've got to be 18 to play, so good luck with that. Big thanks to Cam. Check out Cam on the Mighty Blues YouTube channel as well. And we'll see you later.